What's up, y'all? Kyle Hamilton here. I want to give a quick shout out to Lucas, Conor, and Ryan in the Week Zero podcast.
Jackson rolling out, 3rd and 7 after the penalty, and it's a completion to Kuma. He's still running. Kuma breaks free against a tired defense as the Hokies deliver the dagger here in Tallahassee. Empty look for Richardson. Oh, that is danger! Oh my! Keidron Smith cuts inside, and he's gonna pick six it in the swamp. Cat scratch fever Smith.
DJ is picked off, intercepted again by Benjamin Morrison. Here goes Morrison down the sideline. Can he go? Yes, he can. Touchdown, pick six, Benjamin Morrison. Nix drops back underneath. Touchdown, Ducks. Wow. Chase Conor.
Oh, that is what VT football does to you. Does to me. Now I know what it feels like to be Ryan as a Broncos fan. Though I don't think has VT ever I don't think VT's ever kicked me that hard before, like giving me that much hope in one moment and immediately taken away from me. Like that Hail Mary for the Broncos that just happened against Washington, but what can you do? Yes, Josh is here. He is here to see angry Connor, which is very difficult. I'm probably not actually going to be even that angry because it's very hard for me to get angry. But I'm finally back. I didn't do this last week for after the Purdue game. I apologize. Last week was very busy. Tonight, this week's very busy. Obviously, I'm getting ready to go out to South Bend for the game. So I need to pack. But this is Hokie's Focus. I am your host, Connor Drones Strike Doherty. Yeah, let's get this show on the road. Why don't we? Actually, give me a second. What am I going to do? Something. I'm checking something. Where am I? Trying to find something. My apologies. Give me a second. Okay. So let us look at which one was it? Cool. Let's look at the VT Rutgers Gamecast. Once ESPN loads. ESPN is very slow, of course. Duh. That's how it be sometimes. Unfortunately, so excuse me. I'm also nursing a bit of a cold, so I apologize if I'm not sounding the best. But yeah. So yeah. I mean, you just need to look at all you have to do is this is a game. What was the stats? Let me see this. I didn't even look at this. I stopped watching about 5 minutes left in the game. That's when Rutgers scored their final touchdown. Okay, so here we go. So we had 4 more first downs. We only had 7 more yards total. But that is because we had 144 more passing yards than them. They only had 46. 46. But like I said before, after the ODU game, leading into the Purdue game, and what I said after the Purdue game is we cannot stop the fucking ball. Stop the rush game. Stop them rushing the ball. 256 yards, 7.5 yards per rush. I apologize again, everything. We also did have more penalties. And yeah, we had more turnovers too. We had an interception and a fumble loss. So that's another reason why we lost. We had the ball longer than them. But yeah, those turnovers and the fact our defense cannot stop them. is just maddening. You as a football team should win when you are holding the opposing quarterback to under 50 yards passing. Um, that should just be a given, in my opinion. And obviously, that fumble that VT lost on the very first drive, gifted Rutgers pretty much 7 because they scored on the very next play. But VT has taken the place of Rutgers. We are now the doormat. We are the bottom feeder we are the Rutgers to other teams now. Or I don't know how to even say it. Like, Rutgers is still not a very good team. As you can see with Wimsett, can't throw a damn. 7 for 16, 46 yards. He had a passing touchdown. I don't even remember how long of a yardage that was passing. But, we just I don't know. Kyron Jones' first career start, he looked okay. He looked good overall, actually. He had some nice touch on some throws. He was let down by the wide receivers dropping a bunch of passes. There was a beautiful pass in the second half that would have been for 50-plus yards, maybe even a touchdown. Hit Lofton right here, square in the hands, and he drops it. Lofton would end up getting a touchdown later. No, I thought he did again. Oh, that was Felton. I thought it was Lofton that got the touchdown, but I guess not. Maybe it was Felton. I can't remember. These two, Daquan Felton and Dajuan Lofton. I can't remember. I can't keep them apart or separate the two. I apologize. I think it was Felton that did drop it. Either way, obviously his passing yards would be a lot better with that completion and a few other drops that occurred. But Drones had some good touch on the ball. He wasn't doing the Grant Wells. He wasn't doing a Grant Wells impersonation of throwing a 100-mile-an-hour fastball at his wide receivers. He had some good throws, and the pick, I think, was just a underthrown ball to the boundary, and a defender just jumped right in front of it. Made a nice play, got his feet down around the sidelines. But I think Drones, going forward, Drones should be the starter. There is no question in my mind he should be the starter at this point. Wells is just not good. And the fact that the depth chart for VT for this game against Marshall that's coming up, it says Grant Wells or Kyron Drones, and they haven't just outright come and said it. That Drones is Hokie's Twitter is like not even panicking, it's pissed because Brent Pry, if he and his coaching staff go back to Wells, right? Because Wells suffered a leg injury. That's why he didn't start. He suffered a leg injury right before halftime against Purdue. And he clearly couldn't throw very well because the second quarter, VT comes back, ties it 17, and then they do nothing. They do nothing the entire second half on offense because he just couldn't step into his throws, and he was just missing a bunch of throws and just, airmailing them, missing wide receivers high and so on and so forth, doing the Grant Wells, doing his best to take the wide receivers' heads off with the ball. And so that's why Drones started. But if they go back to Wells, I don't even know if it's like the coaching incompetence that would signal to me and to the vast majority of VT fans would be off the charts. Like, there is no reason that he should be starting. If it would be like when Fuente was started Ryan Willis over Hendon Hooker, and why Braxton Burmeister played over Hooker sometimes as well. We all could see with our own two damn eyes that Hooker was the better of all of those quarterbacks, and yet Fuente, for some reason, wouldn't always stick with Hooker. Now, Hooker got injured a few times, but it is, and it's just ridiculous. The offense cannot run the ball. The defense cannot stop the run. Like drones, 22 carries for 74 yards. Sure, I guess that's good. Not even 4 yards a carry, though. That is not good, right? Tootin, I think that's how people have been saying his name is Tootin. 4 yards a carry. That's a bit better, but it's just they can't run the ball. Look at Malachi Tamest. He couldn't run the ball. The offensive line is terrible because we had brought in last year, I remember, I think it was the Wisconsin's offensive line coach, who obviously Wisconsin was known for really good rush offenses. Where we're like, oh, cool, good rush offense we're going to now have, or at least good offensive line, good protection, be able to go back to what it was in 2020 when we had, I think, a top 15 or 20 rush offense in all of the entire country with Khalil Herbert, who was just lighting the world on fire. Excuse me. Oh, I got a text. I guess I'll check that in a bit. But he then left during the offseason. He was only here for a year. I don't remember who they replaced him with, but the offense just looks uninspired at times, though Drones definitely is the better of them. Now, obviously, I hate using the injury excuse. I really do. For all my teams, it's annoying to be able to use that because I hate when people do that, use it as a crutch. But not having Ollie Jennings, not having Jalen Lanes did hurt Drones. I think, do they win if they have them? I don't know. I think it would have definitely helped Drones, right? Not have as many drops, definitely have more yards. Drones still looked decent, like I said, but Drones, yeah, they need to have Drones be the starter. He just helps the offense run. His scramble ability is at least allowed the offense to at least have a okay rushing attack. But yeah, if we see number 6 go back out, Twitter, VT Twitter, if you want to see a show come Saturday, follow that game on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, if you are calling it X. And if you see the number 6 starting for VT, there are going to be a lot of expletives, including from myself, because we'll be probably watching that game in a bar in South Bend, because the Notre Dame game is the night game. So we'll be watching that game. We'll be watching a bunch of the other games. And I will be outright swearing, because that is a complete and utter coaching incompetence if that was to happen. Pry, I don't think is on the hot seat. I'm going to go into Pry now. I don't think he's on the hot seat yet. I think he's going to get at least a third year. But if he really goes 3-9 again, because looking at the schedule for VT, let me pull it up. Here we go. So VT, so they're at Marshall. They then get Pittsburgh, which Pittsburgh isn't as good as they have been, but last time we played Pittsburgh, they kicked our asses. Then we're at Florida State. Dear God, if we lose by less than 35, I'll be amazed. We get Wake. Syracuse has looked good. We're at Louisville. I don't know what to think of Louisville. Boston College is not good. NC State is better. And then we're at Virginia. Other than the Marshall game, I think the highest, I think ESPN FPI, the two most likely wins is not Marshall, is Boston College and UVA, and we have like a 3-9 record. Those are the only wins, other than maybe Marshall, that I could see us really realistically winning. And going 4-8, 3-9, I think Pry is going to get at least one more year because 2 years is not enough. He's only brought in one recruiting class, right? He's gotten some momentum, got some really good recruits coming in. But obviously, what scares me is all of these guys who committed early, seeing how bad the team was, right? Do they jump ship? And that's what scares me, right? They have this guy, Gabriel Williams, who's been an absolute hype man for the program. They have Davey Belfort, Victor Belfort's son, coming in, right? He's a 3-star, but I like his athleticism. I probably should have asked Liam what he thought about that. I forgot to do that during the stream on Tuesday. But, I hope that but Pry will definitely be on the hot seat going into next year. And if he does not get 5-6 wins, he has to at least make a bowl game next year, or I think he's done. And the biggest problem for me is that article came out about VT right before the season, and I talked about that, right? VT it just seems like there's a fundamental inability to get with the times, right? That guy Bailing, whatever his name is, who clashed heads with Fuente and get in his way, supposedly. He supposedly still has his fingers all over the athletic department, right? Some people are saying he runs the athletic department more than the athletic director, with Babcock, does, right? And he is best friends with Frank Beamer. And so he still wants to run the program the way he was running it, the way it was being run with Beamer during its heyday. And that is not how college football is anymore. Okay. If this rebuild does not see a marked improvement, whether it somehow miraculously comes this year or comes next year, I don't even think it's going to be Pry. I think it needs to be a complete athletic department. It just needs to be completely cleaned, wiped out, right? Complete overhaul. Get rid of Babcock. Get someone who is with the times and is not afraid to get someone who you don't always have to need someone who has a connection to Virginia Tech. That's why Pry was brought in, because he had a connection. He was a grad assistant back in the 90s during the beginning of the Frank Beamer heyday, right? And so they're like, oh, we're going to bring in a local guy who has a connection to VT, but has no head coaching experience, was only a defensive coordinator, right, for Penn State, who was a decent, really good defensive coordinator, right, and give him the burned ashes and the smoldering, ashes of a once proud program, right, and try and ask him to fix it and build it back up to where it once was, without giving him the proper resources he needs, right, to take the program when he needs to, right. VT has the most expensive coaching staff in his history this year, and there is still, it is a JV level coaching staff compared to what it is. Do you want to know where the offensive coordinator for VT came from? I'll show you what he looks like. Okay. So this is him, Tyler Bowen. I know there's probably no one watching other than Josh. Okay. Josh, if you're here, you may have remember what I said. Just try and guess where Brent Pry hired him from. Okay. And he came from the NFL. Think of what are some of the worst NFL teams of the past 2 to 3 years. Not including this year. From 2021 and 2022, or 2020 and 2022. Thank you. Thank you, Phil. Phil, take a guess. I want you to guess, where did Bowen come from? The VT offensive coordinator. Where do you think Brent Pry hired him from? Carolina. Okay, that's a good guess. Think even worse from the NFL. Think of who is your least favorite head coach of all time. College football head coach. I could guess who it probably is because he was the head coach of the team that you hate the most, Phil. It's Urban Meyer. It's when he was at the Jags. He was the tight ends coach for the Jags in 2021 when the Jags were the worst team in the NFL, and Urban Meyer ruined Trevor Lawrence for an entire season. And Brent Pry was like, "Yeah, I'll take him. Sure, why not? Let's take this guy who has never been an offensive coordinator and has been a tight ends coach, who apparently is not even that good of a coach." Or I guess I read somewhere that he wasn't that well liked or something. Don't hold me to that. But yeah, sure, let's take him. Let's take this bullshit JV level guy who coached for the worst NFL head coach of all time, and let's make him the offensive coordinator. Let's not try and go get this. See if we can be given some more money from the program to get someone who is actually innovative and has an innovative offense. No, we're just going to be stuck in the mid 2000s. We're going to have jet screens and and inside wire screens, and we're just going to have jet sweeps galore, and it's going to be aggravating. Now, at this point, I'd almost rather have a Brad Cornelsen offense. I'd rather have Brad Cornelsen back at this point because I think I saw somewhere that do I have it? Do I have it? Is it this one? Please tell me it's this one. I apologize. My computer was acting up a lot earlier, so I had to restart. OxVT. Let me see. Okay, here we go. Okay, I will share this once. Is this sharing? Yeah, once this loads. I apologize if this is being slow. My computer is very slow. So this graph, when it finally loads, will show the ups and downs of the VT. So you can see this, right? So this is the VT rushing offense, right? You can see 2008 or 1999 with Mike Vick and 2000 with Mike Vick, number 8, number 5 in the country, right? Passing offense was actually not that good. These are the Tyrod Taylor years right here. David Wilson years as well. Actually, I think Wilson was 2010. I think 2010-11. Then it bottoms out, right? So then here's Cornelsen, Scott Leffler. That is when I was at VT. That's when I was a VT fan. Or when I was at Virginia Tech as a student, was 2013 to 2016, right? Scott Leffler, rushing bottoms out, right? Remember, there's 133 teams in FBS, right? And so then, boom, huge jump to 10th in the country in 2020 with Khalil Herbert. They use a fantastic zone blocking scheme to just make him, have him, the offense looks fantastic at times. Khalil Herbert looks great. Hendon Hooker, isn't passing the best, but he's okay, right? And he looks great. And Christian Darrisaw is a first-round pick in the NFL draft that year. And then here is Bowen. Cool. I'm not sure if you can see that. That I think says, what does that say? 65? 60 something? It says 66. Oh, and yes, that is I guess my reaction to that and the guy's reaction. 66. So Last year they were 103. They were 103 passing, 113th rushing, and they've actually dropped even worse to 125 rushing. Passing somehow, I guess, is better. I guess because Wells actually was really good in the game against ODU. Wasn't very good against Purdue, and Drone's been okay through the one game, right? So, but it is just it's just not good. Is this the other stat? My God, my computer is being so slow. Okay, here we go. And then this, I will fully admit, I am not a huge, big, super analytical guy with this. I just can see that VT is just bad. The only thing they're good at apparently is defensive success rate on passing. They're 10th in the country. So their secondary is really good, and that's what I and a lot of people are expecting because they have Mansour Delaney, who could potentially be an All-American, well, not All-American, maybe at least a All-Conference player. I think he was a first-team All-Rookie for the ACC last year because he was a freshman last year, right? And so the pass defense is good. Rush defense, terrible, right? I'm getting so worked up. I need to slow down because I'm getting anxiety just from talking about this. But yeah, Marshall VT is expected to not even win a third of the time. Marshall is a -9. We're not going to get into this game. Finally, they are a 9-point favorite. VT has never been an underdog against Marshall. This is, I think, the 15th or 16th time they're going to be playing against Marshall, and this is the first time they've ever been the underdog. Great, fantastic. ESPN, I think, has given them an even less chance of winning. I think it's over 60% or over 66% chance. And I just, like I said, yeah, it's 67.4 is what ESPN is predicting. Now, of course, ESPN, FPI, whatever, the matchup predictor, it's obviously that's just their prediction model. But Rashawn Ali is Marshall's running back. He has 5 rushing touchdowns, 222 yards on the season. I expect him to maybe double that this game, unless the defense miraculously turns things around. Graham Wells should not be starting. I swear to God, if he is, I will actually get really mad, and I will let people know. And Jalen Jones, hopefully he's back, or Jalen Jones. Apparently, Rashid. Let me share my screen. I apologize, I wasn't sharing. Where is it? Marshall. Cool. Yeah, so here we go. Okay. Yeah, so they outpass us, they outrush us. VT isn't even averaging 100 yards per game rushing, and honestly, that's being helped by the 129 that they got this past game. And then, 212 yards rushing allowed. VT, before this game, I saw VT is, oh my God, was that Altuve? Oh, no, it's Bregman. Sorry, I'm following the Orioles game as well. Getting back to the Rutgers game real quick, VT has lost now, I think I saw somewhere it's 12 straight Power 5 games against Power 5 teams, whether they're in conference or not, with losing to Purdue and Rutgers and all of the losses they suffered last year. Yeah, I mean, we're going to have our pick'ems on Thursday, but I'm just going to tell you right now, I will be picking Marshall because, I mean, why would I trust VT at this point? The coaches haven't shown me that they have the intelligence to play the right players. They haven't shown me that they are competent at all. It seems like they are unable to even teach players how to properly block, how to properly tackle, or defend against the rush. I swear to God, like half the time it looks like the offensive line just doesn't even know how to keep themselves in front of their defender when blocking. Bowen just wants to just try and take the ball right down the middle, and that's not going to work because the offensive line is not good enough. You need to try and get it outside the numbers, outside the tackles, because then Thomas and Tuden, however you say his name, will be able to use their speed and be able to make something of it. I hope, right? I would be fine with seeing some jet sweeps with Lane, or if Ali or Jennings wasn't hurt, I'd want to see that. Real quick, but Jennings, apparently he is still potentially week to week. He was seen lifting weights in the weight room and has been in meetings. Don't think he's going to play this week. It sucks not having him because I definitely think he's a difference maker. Does that mean we would have won the Purdue or the Rutgers games? I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? Obviously, losing your best wide receiver is really going to hurt when Wells is not a good QB, and then you're trying to bring in a guy who has never started before, right, in Drones. But Drones needs to start, right? And if they don't, if I see number 6 come out, I will officially know. I will know, and the rest of the VT fans will know that the coaches don't care. The coaches are not trying, in my opinion. There is no reason that Wells should start. He is not going to help the team. And I just think even if they somehow miraculously win this game, it's 3-4 wins at most. If they lose this game, then it's, definitely no more than 3 wins. Unless there's some miraculous turnaround, which I really don't believe in, because I was hoping for it last year and it didn't come. Pry will be on the hot seat, and it's going to be a long season. It's not going to be fun. I know it's a rebuild, but you would hope to see something, and it just feels like we've gone further back than we've gone forward. We haven't even taken a step forward. Like we're at where we were last year. We haven't taken a step forward from that spot. I feel like we've stepped back, right? Because I just don't know. VT is, and I think we're gonna be talking about this tonight. I suggested it to the guys to talk about who are the worst Power 5 teams right now. VT is going to be one of them. I think they're at least one of the bottom 5 in college football. The other ones are, and one of them is UVA, and it's kind of sad, but what can you do? Yeah, wow. I'm shocked. See, Phil, I'm not sure if you saw, because what I was saying is with the what I was saying before, I'm not sure if you saw at the beginning, towards the beginning, is the program is still, it is a dead program. I would hope it can be revived, but if they want to do that, they need to completely clean house. Now, will that happen this year? I don't think so. Could it happen next year if Pride doesn't take a step forward? And because I think a step forward has to be at least 5-6 wins, qualify for a bowl game, right? You would hope that's the step forward is 500, right? If he gets that, sure, he'll get another year or two, right? Because I think they're going to want to be patient if he shows that. But if he has another 3-4 win season, then it just needs to be completely redone. Get rid of Whip Babcock. Get rid of everyone. Get rid of Bailing, who, according to that article and what I've seen on Twitter, this guy Bailing, I don't even know what his name is. He used to be a higher up within the athletic department who would regularly butt heads with Justin Fuente. And because Baileen's friends with Beamer, and Beamer is still very involved with the VT program. At least was when Fuente was there, right? Beamer's still there. I, as a student, would see Beamer walking his dog all the time. I would wave to him, stop him, get for pictures. He just nicest guy you'd ever meet, right? Super nice guy. Take pictures with students. He'd be walking his dog, not Frank. What was his dog's name? I can't remember, but it was like a wiener dog. He would always be walking him. And Baleen wants to keep Seamus wants to keep the program the way it was successful under Beamer, and you can't do that now anymore. You have to put money and resources into the program. They've started to do that, right, with a huge fundraiser initiative that's like $300 million they're trying to raise to invest in the athletic department, not just for football, but the entire athletic department. Right. I think they've come close to me in that. So they're actually getting a bunch of money into the programs, into the athletic programs. But they finally just have been given money for Pry. I don't think that's right. Josh, I don't think that was right. I can't remember his dog's name. But that's wrong. VT finally has money in their staff. This is the most expensive coaching staff VT's ever had, and it still is probably at the close to the very bottom of the entire ACC. They've taken a step, but they're still behind, and it is just maddening, right? And so, it's a dead program. Can it be revived? I don't know, but at the same time, like Phil says here, it's not even a decent alumni base. It's not even decent, okay? You know how Ryan says, "Oh, Notre Dame has a huge, fan base, right? It's top 2 along with Ohio State, right?" Well, I just saw something on Twitter. I don't know if I'll be able to find it. That for ESPN specific broadcast games, not ESPN on ABC, but ESPN games of the past decade or maybe the past decade. 2 of them are VT games. One was the Ohio State game at home to start the 2015 season after Ohio State won the national championship. And the other was the Boise State game in 2010, right? Those were 3 and 4 or 4. They were 3 and 4 or 4 and 5 right next to each other. So it shows there are people who are going to watch VT. There is a big, rabid fan base, right, who is there to root for. I know it might be reaching, but I think they're an SEC level fan base. I think if VT somehow got into the SEC, I think obviously it would help the team a lot, the program. Tons of money would come in, and they would realize, oh, cool, we actually have to try now and put a bunch of money in to try and compete. Now that we're playing Alabama and Georgia and LSU, all those teams, right? Texas, Oklahoma, once that happens next year. And I think VT could work in the SEC because they have the fan base to do it. And VT travels well. VT really travels well. And, there is a fan base who wants to succeed. I want it to. The fan base wants it. But the program now, it's a rebuild, but we haven't taken the step forward. We've taken a step back, it feels like. It really should have been, we really should be 3-0. Because if Grant Wells, Kyron Drones should have been starting from day one, in my opinion. Seeing how he would played in just that one game against Rutgers, I think you should start the entire season. I can understand starting with Wells to begin with because he has the experience, but hindsight's 2020. Drones should have started. That's my opinion. And so, it's just annoying. It's just sad. And at least I have the Ravens, though they'll hurt me in some way possible as well. Or they'll hurt themselves with all the injuries. But yeah, this has been the longest Hokie focus because I guess that's my version of a rant, and yet I'm still not even. This is my version of being mad, and I'm not even like seething mad. It's just me being exasperated about the whole thing. But I'll still root for them. But I'm just gonna give you a spoiler when it comes to the pick'ems on Thursday when we're all picking together. I'm gonna be taking Marshall, and until I see some fight from the offense and see the defense can stop the run. I'm going to be picking against VT pretty much until probably that UVA game because I think UVA is worse than VT. And that would be a very special level of bad to see that in the Commonwealth Cup game. That could easily be our $1 ticket game come the last week of the season, last regular season game of the season. That could easily be a $1 ticket game for worst game of the year, for worst game of the week. Because the game's also at UVA, and UVA, unless it's even against VT, probably won't even have a sellout crowd because UVA fans don't care. At least VT will probably fill out about 60% of that stadium or more. But this has been Hokie Focus. I'm hoping for a slight miracle. If we beat Marshall, I guess I'll be happy. I can't let too much hopium hit me. I gotta deal with the copium, I guess, for a bit. I'll be back on in just about 40 minutes or so with the rest of the guys, Josh, and I think hopefully Phil will be there as we recap week 3 of college football. But yeah, this has been Hokie Focus. I'll be back next week talking about the game and looking forward to the start of the ACC portion of VT's schedule against Pittsburgh. At least, real quick, VT is actually selling out the games because they sold out the Purdue game and the ODU game, and apparently the Pittsburgh game is also sold out. So there's fans who are still going to the games despite how bad the team is, right? So, and also real quick, I think the betting line now is not -9. I think it's Marshall -5. So they're 5-point favorites. So it's actually closed. So I guess there's a lot of money coming on VT for some reason. I don't know why, but apparently that's what I've seen on Twitter. So, we'll see how it goes, but keep that in mind. If you guys are going to bet on this game, I don't know why you would. So, but until then, I'll see you guys in just a little bit. This has been Conor Doherty with the Hokie's Focus, excuse me. I will see you guys next week.